And with that, we'll go ahead and call the public speak out to commencement. I'm Jesse Letterman, president of the Springfield City Council. I'm joined by my colleague, at-large City Councilor Cateri Walsh, and Ward 6 City Councilor Victor Davila. We have 3 individuals signed up to speak out this evening, although we only have 1 that is in attendance currently. So we will take that individual first, and then if our other speakers join us prior to the conclusion of the speak out time, we will take them as well. So at this time, I'll recognize Vernice Smith-Brown. Oh, Ms. Brown, you are muted, and I should also say that we generally allow 3 minutes and speak out, although since you are the only person speaking out, I'll be a little lenient on that. But go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you, Jesse. Good evening, my name is Vernice Smith-Brown. I'm a registered nurse of 17 years, and I have concerns regarding our community. Today, I want to focus on domestic violence. Domestic violence affects all ages, crosses all socioeconomic groups, ethnicities, races, genders, and sexualities. According to mass.gov, exposure to domestic violence has profound effects on children. Research indicates as many as 10 million children per year may witness or be victims of violence in their homes. There is a correlation between domestic violence and child abuse, which may result in a child being physically injured as a direct result of domestic violence. Even if there is no physical harm inflicted upon a child, being a witness of domestic violence in the home often causes adverse effects. Domestic violence includes using children to criticize parenting skills, threatening to take the children away, using children to relay messages, and using visitation to harass the other parent. Many children who witness violence in the home suffer from anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder. Young children, may exhibit eating and sleeping difficulties and concentration problems. They may become withdrawn, dependent, and delayed in achieving expected milestones. Older children could exhibit these same symptoms and also run the risk of becoming violent themselves, suffering academic failure, substance abuse, and problems in their own relationships. In addition, these children are more likely to commit antisocial behavior at a young age and have a significantly higher risk of becoming involved in the juvenile justice system than those who have not been exposed to violence in the home. By the age of 10, I watched my mother abused by my father. I was molested and knew others who were molested. I saw a female being raped by multiple men. A close confidant of mine also normalized a woman being beaten. It was the act of her father. A female being hurt by the opposite sex became normal. I grew up thinking less of women and less of myself the older I became. Ultimately, I looked for a domineering figure type of boyfriend or develop a defensive nature. A child in this environment can normalize abuse, creating a cycle. When I was 15, I entered a relationship in which I experienced domestic abuse. Without counseling, this affected my relationships with many others. My family was unaware of the abuse I suffered, but classmates knew. 10 million children per year may witness or be victims of violence in their homes. This number could be decreased in the future if we educate 10 to 12-year-olds. If we teach children to recognize the signs of domestic abuse, they'll understand the difference of healthy and unhealthy affection. I'm asking for a call to action. I'd like school officials and school nurses to get involved by implementing educational conferences twice a year on domestic violence. We need to empower the youth with knowledge of the topic so they will know domestic violence is a serious matter and they can stop the cycle. Thank you for your time. I'm Vernice Smith-Brown. I reside at 15 Marlborough Street, Springfield, Mass. 01109. God bless you. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Smith-Brown, for your testimony, and also I want to thank you personally for your bravery coming here, sharing your own story. And I certainly think there are several counselors who would be glad to work with you in approaching the school committee around what you're discussing, to understand a little bit about what might be going on now and what could go on in the future to address what you're discussing. I see one of those counselors is Counselor Walsh, who has her hand up, so I'll recognize Counselor Walsh at this time.
Thank you, Mr. President. And is it Vernice? Is that correct?
Yes, Vernice.
Vernice. Well, you know, it's actually very timely that you would come to this public speak. And I also want to thank you for sharing your story. It is not easy, but the newly formed Springfield Women's Commission is taking up such a call to action regarding domestic violence. And I'd certainly like you to join us and speak to the panel. I don't know what your schedule is tomorrow, but we actually have a meeting on Zoom tomorrow at 4:30. I'm sure my fellow commissioners would love to hear from you, because one of the things the new Women's Commission wants to do is to tackle these kinds of issues in domestic violence. When we did a survey of the new commissioners and the issues that they saw in the community, domestic violence was number one. So it would be a wonderful addition to our meeting, and hopefully I can get offline. I can get some of your information and invite you to join us and work with you to this end.
I'd be honored to. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the invite.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Certainly, Ms. Smith-Brown, we have your information from the Public Speak Out, so we can ensure that that is shared with Councilor Walsh, and she can facilitate the invitation for tomorrow.
Okay.
Again, thank you so much. And we'll move now to our next individual who signed up for Public Speak Out, and that would be Mr. John Rivera. Mr. Rivera, we can see you, but you are muted. You'll just need to unmute in the bottom left corner of your iPhone.
Let me do that.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I spoke to Mr. Letterman. Would that be you?
That is me, John. Yes, I remember, and I saw you were signed up.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm calling in regards to that crosswalk. I just met the mayor at the parking lot because I thought the meeting was physically, and he happened to be coming out to the parking lot, and I mentioned it to him, and he said it right to him, you know, on the issue, because I didn't know, he mentioned there's actually a crosswalk on William Street and Main. But that sign, I've been going through there for the past, I don't know how long that sign has been up, but I've been in Springfield for 45 years, and I never noticed any sign there but what needs to happen is a crosswalk with something in the center of the lane, so cars see it visibly. You know, people go through there at the speed of light. They have no respect for anyone in the crosswalk. I happen to be crossing a 97-year-old, and he almost got ran over by bikers. And I thank God I was by him. And I had to literally cover him with my body and face the about 6 young men coming straight at us for them to warp around me. And they let out a curse. And I said, you know, this is awful because you have elderly people crossing back and forth. So we need it. I spoke to Rico Danieli, and then he said, John, I will go if I have the time. Thank God he didn't go because I thought it was physical, the meeting. And the lady, the owner of the Fiorentina, she said, I wish I could go, but you mentioned it, that we are taxpayers and we need a crosswalk here. You know, I will address it with the mayor because he asked me to do so. So I will address it as the same as I'm saying to you. It is because no one sees that sign. It's on the right-hand side. It's a yellow sign. And the reason why I looked for it is because he mentioned it. The mayor mentioned it to me. So I said, let me go by there and look. And there it was, yellow on the side, not visible to anyone going, you know, through there. So we have to, you know, we really have to pay attention to the elderly there because they crossing and they're very old. And then you have, it should be between the Fiorentina and Mom and Rico's, right in the center there. You know, and I will appreciate paying attention, close attention to that.
Thank
Can you hear?
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. We can hear you. Did that conclude your remarks?
Yes, it does.
All
I
right,
will follow it up with the mayor also.
Thank you. And I too will follow up. I do remember when we spoke some weeks ago about this, I did actually go down to the location. For those that may not have been familiar with Mr. Rivera speaking about the crossing area generally around La Fiorentina, between La Fiorentina kind of up to the Dunkin' Donuts right there. And I did see that there was a crosswalk there, but as you mentioned, it's not particularly well signed at this time. So I did reach out to the DPW. I didn't have an update for you at this very moment. But we did have it on our to-do list here, and certainly through the Maintenance and Development Committee, we can bring it back up to see what can be done to improve that crossing there. And I see Councilor Davila also has a question or a comment. Go ahead, Mr. Rivera.
Who's that? The representative of that area?
Up at that point, it would be Ward 3 Councilor Edwards.
Edwards, okay. Yeah, the name sounds familiar, but the face is not out there. So, but anyway,
Davila?
I say the name sounds familiar, but the face is not known over there. So, but anyway, listen, I thank you very much for the time, and I'll follow it up, and I'll appreciate if you do as well.
Certainly, Mr. Red. Councilor Davila also, I think, wanted to respond to your comment. Councilor Davila?
Yeah, Mr. President. Actually, you answered my question. Mr. Rivera, thank you for speaking. It's the first time that I hear on this particular issue, and I know that's a very busy area, and between the casino traffic and people coming back and forth. But where exactly is that crossing sign that as you're speaking, I'm trying to visualize it. I cannot picture it in my head.
Listen, I never saw it until the mayor said, Johnny, we have a crosswalk on Williams to the right side, going towards the coming from let's say Main Street and coming down from State and Main, going down towards the Fiorentina. It's on the right hand side on William Street. It's a yellow sign, looks like this hand waving, and you can't see it. It's not visible. Why? Because people are distracted driving through there.
Right.
And so it needs to take place. It has to be something in the center there that will in other words, will raise the consciousness of those driving by there, including the kids, and also gives more of a visible an object there standing right there facing them to slow down. And police have to pay attention also every once in a while, because listen, if we got to get revenues from people that disobey the law, then so be it. That's why we have police officers out there. But we need to pay attention to that area.
Mr. Rivera, have you reached out to the South End Community Center?
No, I haven't. I just, it didn't. I know I get complaints like everybody's dumping everything down here, drug programs and everything. And I say, what's going on? Where is the representation here?
Right.
Why people if people don't speak out, nobody's going to listen.
I hear you. And you live in the neighborhood, right?
Yeah, my brother owns a property right there. And the old man is very dear to my heart. And sometimes I go see him, and he just turned 98 years old, and he's precious. He's precious. To me, he's precious. And when I see that he risked to get run over crossing to the car across the street, I've been there so many times. In fact, I was told, hey, be careful with coming here. You don't get a tag or they will look at you differently. I don't know what is the stereotype stuff, but that doesn't concern me. What concerns me is, and as I'm known in Springfield for 45 years, is the safety of people, especially children. By the way, I just started a nonprofit named the Save the Children Foundation, and that's exactly what I intend to do, to find a solution against some of those kids, in the street without direction, getting them straightened out, because they are out there, no direction, no respect for anyone. And I want to put my 100% into alleviating that burden.
Mr. Rivera, I do believe that President Letterman said that he's in the to-do list with the DPW. If I can't be of any assistance, please feel free to email me at vdavila@springfieldcityhall.com and vdavila@springfieldcityhall.com. And we can, if need be, we can put you in touch with the neighborhood association on that area as well. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Been duly noted.
Thank you. Thank you all very much, and have a good night.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Davila. Thank you, Mr. Rivera, for staying on top of it, and we'll be back in touch.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We did have one additional individual signed up for public speak out, Russ Seelig, but I don't see Mr. Seelig on the call at this time. And so having no further public speak out before the body, we will adjourn and we will reconvene at 7 o'clock for our regular meeting, which will also be streamed live on our Springfield Municipal Meetings YouTube page. Thank you all so much.